Good evening and welcome to this session of Tuesday's Encounters in New York. This program is presented every Tuesday at 7 p.m. New York time. My name is Mark Beecher and I'll be your host today. Our special guest tonight is Carla Cobos Hull. We'll be having a conversation with Carla about actually her spiritual journey and what she is endeavoring to move in her spiritual journey. So Carla, if you could just join us.
Hey, Mark.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. So I know I'm looking at Facebook. I see that you're a businesswoman and you're offering consulting services and things for people, but that's not what we're talking about tonight, right?
Right. Tonight is all about how to feel safe within your inner civilization. And most people are going to go like, what do you mean? What does that even mean? Right. But before that, I just want to say hello to everybody. And thank you, Mark, for having me in this Tuesday session and kind of conversation. And it's really, this is going to be sort of like helping you change your perspective a little bit in what it is about how you see civilization nowadays, and also who are you as you are navigating through being in this world and navigating through interacting with civilization. So it's kind of nowadays, especially, it's hard to feel safe anywhere, right?
Right.
Especially feeling safe just going on the streets or traveling or doing things pretty much anywhere in your neighborhood. If you decide to travel, if in your city, whatever you are, sometimes it's really hard. So the idea here is learning how to be safe within yourself so that you can irradiate this outwards into society and civilization, and then kind of change the vibration that you are irradiating so that you can really feel that confidence, safety, and connection with yourself. That's the main thing, hopefully, today that we're gonna talk about.
Okay, very good. Yeah, it's certainly a troubled world, and we're all looking for some security, some safety, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So
So we can start with like sort of like learning what is that connection with self means, right? And for anybody listening, of course, in the replay or even if you're live here, what is that even? If you are spiritual at all, and you're like, okay, I understand what connecting to self means, but if you're like, you know what, Carla, I don't really know what that means, I don't really know what that feels, right?
right,
That is it. That's where I come in and explain. So let's talk about what it is connecting to self. It's connecting to self is understanding who you are, understanding your thought patterns, understanding your cycles, understanding the things, the perspectives that you bring through and across. And so that includes the values, the priorities, what are your how do you live your daily life, the way you think, the way you hear, the way you thought, everything, right? And so in this case, looking at self is understanding who are you in the perspective of like, who are you presenting yourself to others? Is that really you? Is that really yourself? Or is just like a personality, a perception, or a mask that you put on an every day so that people like you, people hear you, you can feel relatable to others, right?
right,
And that was a major thing for me that it took me a little bit. Once I opened in my spiritual connection to self, it was hard to understand, like, wait, I started questioning everything I knew that I've already learned. So everything I learned about, I was religious, and everything I learned about religion, everything learned about politics, everything I learned about my values and the way I think and how I move myself in society and how I communicate with others. And once I started looking into that and questioning it, okay, who taught me this? Who was the person? Who school did? My parents did, my ancestral family, all of these things. And then you kind of start breaking that down into a little bit, and then you find who you really are. And how that feels is really breaking apart your cell on the cellular level, meaning you start feeling different. Once you start recognizing all those things, you start seeing different. You start feeling differently of things that they used to bother you before, no longer bother you because you've been healing, right? And so once you start connecting to yourself, you don't care about acting silly in front of people or millions of people here. Like, let's say that they're watching or saying things like spiritual or galactic or connection to self and soul and spirit, because you know who you are to the core of your being. And no matter who or what people say or think of you, you're going to still show up the way that you're meant to be. Not with like a specific persona, but just you as who you are. So the feeling in your body is kind of the warmth, that sort of like wholeness feeling, that just energy that irradiates in your body, and you can feel it around your entire body, circulating through as you're connecting more and more to yourself. Now, when we talk about connecting to self, we talk about connecting to your soul and your spirit. And your soul and your spirit pretty much are like in this right here torso area. That's where your connection mainly comes through. But you connect through yourself through senses. So that's where the connection comes through. So it's really interesting to understand. So for example, I can say, Mark, do you know who you are? To the core level of who you are, do you know, if you remove every single value, if you remove every single story of what you've lived all through your life, do you know who you are to the core?
I doubt it. I mean, I know who I am through my family and through my past relationships. And sort of, as you said, a value system, which probably comes with some maturity. But I understand a lot of people know from their earliest youth who they are and what their goals are, and how they plan on spending their lives here, which is, I think, somewhat bringing past lives into the current life. But it's a really a journey. It's really a lot of questions, as you say. You have to ask yourself a lot of questions to dig down to find out, who you are, who you think you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then you touched about the past lives. Yes, when you don't, and that is very true, when you don't like close the cycle of your past lives, let's say if you didn't learn the lesson or heal the lesson or healed and really took action of changing and shifting within that lifetime, you will bring it to this lifetime, right? And
Right.
that would show through your daily life as you grow up. But interesting enough, when you think about the pureness of self, you look at babies, you look at little kids before they have been told, don't do this, don't do that, act like this, look like that, right? All of those things. That's this. And you see them and they're acting funny and they've been themselves, right? Until the mom goes, and I'm a mom, so I know, like, we go and say, no, don't touch that, don't do that, careful, right? And we bring all those preconditioned things to our subconscious mind, and it gets stored in there. And then we come in, and as we grow, we start bringing through all of those subconscious thoughts that, that as you kept on growing, you kept on saving them. And that either helps you through, or it's challenging through, right? So depending on how you lived and stuff. So that's so important when connecting to self. Now, how does that connect to civilization, right? Because when you look at self, right? You mentioned yourself, how you see through your family. That is the civilization that I'm looking for, right? Because the civilization starts from within, your inner civilization, right? What does that mean? Your inner civilization means your younger self, your adult self, your younger adult self, your teenage self, plus what's in your body, right? The organs, everything that is life. That is all the civilization that is coming through in. And then comes out of you into your family, the first part of the actual human to human connection of civilization, which is your family. And then it goes to your community, and then it goes beyond and beyond and beyond, right?
Right.
But if you don't know who you are, or you're trying to work on understanding who you are, then when you present yourself to the outside, you are not going to be yourself. And then therefore, you're going to use all of the subconscious mind stored things that have been taught or brought through, and you are going to be acting, and you're going to continue the patterns that it has been coming through your cells, through memories, through all those things, and you're going to continue the cycle, right?
Right.
Hence, when you think about, and interesting enough, today I was talking to my daughter about good and bad, right? Good and evil, good and bad. And that's where it all comes through as well. Like, where do you learn what is good and what is bad? You learn it from your parents.
Right.
You learn it from school. You learn it from society, right? But have you really thought to yourself, is this really good or is this really bad? Like, how does it make me feel? What do I think about it? Do I just say it, yes, it's bad because somebody told me? Or have I really analyzed it and gone, you know what? This doesn't feel right. The energy is, and you really break it down and then understand, okay, you know what? This is bad, right? And this happens when you were talking about civilization. This happens out there, right? When somebody follows, let's talk about politics, right? Like somebody follows somebody that you might think it's bad, but the other person doesn't think it's bad, right? And so there's a clash, and you think, how can these people think this, right? And it's all to do with the perception and what they have in their subconscious mind and what they have learned through growing up, and what they see within themselves as reality, right? And that comes through not knowing who they are. And so therefore that they depend on others to find out who they are. They depend on the civilization to tell them who they are. And that is happening around the world with, politics, religion, with economics, with every single part of what you consider civilization, the agriculture, the cultures, the economics, the technology. You're talking about politics, there's even spirituality. It all comes through that, right? Let's talk about the spiritual world, right? When you come into the spiritual world, I was like, am I really connected, or am I just following someone because they are more connected than I am? And therefore, I'm going to go what they say until I figure it out whether, or I'm not going to figure it out. I'm just going to follow what they say. And yes, I'm going to know, oh, okay, yeah, there's ancestral lives. Oh, yeah, there's like the Akashic records. Oh, yeah. How am I supposed to channel? I'm just doing this and channeling, right? But are they really questioning it?
But are we, all right, and society in general, I mean, it's the politics of the world just drives you crazy. But we're not really evolving. It's like we're in the 2024 and we're still having these regional wars, and we're still fighting over just opinion differences, really. And it's, it's troubling. It's disturbing.
And absolutely.
And I don't know, it's like, is this the human condition? We're really not going to evolve. We're not going to improve our interactions, and and how do we as individuals go to the next level of spirituality or awareness, or
consciousness,
our thought processes. Yeah. It's difficult. I mean, even forget about the world, the politics in the United States is horrendous. And it doesn't give us good feelings. So I guess within ourselves, we need to just dig down and find the level to adhere to, and the level that makes some sense and hopefully elevates us philosophically and spiritually.
Yes. So everything that is happening on the outside is a reflection of the inside as a collective, right?
Right.
And I know I'm not the only one that says, and I believe, 100% believe that the evolution of humanity, it's not that we're not going to have war, or we're not going to have fight, or we're not going to have conflict. I believe that for something to be, for peace to come, there has to be chaos, right? It's cause and effect. If you look at the laws of the universe, right, it's like cause and effect. There has to have a cause for it to have an effect. You look about in spirituality, right? If you want to find the light, you have to go through the darkness. So if for the world to evolve doesn't mean that we're going to go all be sitting here, kumbaya, my love, and just have like everybody neighbors going to get along, and because that's going to be boring, to be honest, right? Like, think of it. It also goes, I believe that it's going to be boring. Now, it's not that it's an entertainment, right? Because lives get lost. Though, for lives to be evolved, it comes from within. You are evolving life as we know it. And there's I don't believe in levels. There's no hierarchy in spirituality. If you really, when I got deep into understanding all aspects of perspective of spirituality, there's no hierarchy in spirituality, right? The dimensions are not up and down. They're not linear. They're like circular. So it's like we're all in dimensions here. And if we're looking at ascension, right? Ascension doesn't mean that you keep on going up in levels. Ascension means that you become more conscious every day. You bring from the subconscious to your conscious mind, and you start looking sort of like coming up the mountain, looking at more a perspective around, right? But really, evolution, I believe there's not going to be a stop in wars, because we need that for people to wake up. We need that for people to come and say, you know what? I'm tired of wars. And also, I need to change. Something has to change. And the only change has to come within, because we have to change. I can't change you. You have to change you, right? So I have the duty, my purpose is for me to change me, and then show the world how I'm changing me for the better, becoming more conscious, becoming more open in perspective. So, and we talk about politics the same way, right? How am I leading ourselves? How am I leading myself? How do I talk to myself in terms of like in political terms? Like, what do I believe in? They told me I have to believe in certain type of politics. Who created politics? Right? Like, so it's breaking really down and questioning all of these things, and really shifting and becoming more sovereign in your thoughts, and more conscious of like, does this feel right for me? Right? And as soon as it feels right for me, then how I can open up, once I have integrated all that, open up and share it with others. And so I don't believe that there's going to be see, if you think about not only in this world, because we only focus on we focus what's happening in our community, how we're fighting in our community, right? And then we focus on our city, how we're fighting in our city, and then our country, right? Country, and then the world, right? But we are a small planet in a big, big universe, which there's gazillions, we don't even know how many, worlds are out there.
Right.
And they are still having wars in the galaxies. So, but for that to change, for the universe to expand, it had to be chaos. There had to be an explosion. There had to be a fight, right? So if we change our perspective in terms of how we see the world, and then how we see first our internal world. If our internal world is chaotic, then what happens outside is going to be chaotic. But if our internal world is going to be peaceful, you're more open to see the chaotic world in a different way. You understand the perspective in a 360, right? You're not going to say, oh yeah, it's okay. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you are going to understand that within that, something else. So within that cause, there's going to be an effect, either positive or a negative. So that's very important to, again, bringing back the consciousness and opening your consciousness up in terms of not only seeing one way, one perspective. And I think that is the challenge in civilization, is not being able to open your perspective up and understanding there's gazillion other possibilities for that one thing.
Okay. So when you open yourself up, well, actually, have you written? I think I saw somewhere where you have written a little bit.
I wrote a small sort of book, and it's called The Inner Rhythm, and it talks about this is a channeled book, and it talks about the energies on different dimensions, how the world is going to be shifting as the dimension consciousness shifts. So that's the book about.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to ask about the channeling. Is there an entity that you do channel?
So when I channel, so anyone can channel, by the way, you can channel, and we're just learning how to connect to that specific energy. And how I was taught was, when you connect to that specific energy, this is let's say this is the truth of that thing that you're looking for, right? But you're connecting to this much, and you're getting this little piece of information out of this much of information, right?
Right.
So when I channel the information, and when anyone channels information, let's say if I'm trying to channel the same thing as you, right? But you get a sort of different details than me, right? We have to understand that the channeling, you're accessing different points of that specific thing. Okay. So there's never one truth for what you channel. No matter who's channeling, there's never one truth.
So you said it's just the small items that you're not channeling answers to the world's problems, right? You're
correct, because if you are channeling answers to the world's problems, you get one word out of the whole paragraph, right? Okay. But not only you asked about an entity as well, right? I have connected to other entities in my channel, and that's a different type of connection. Channeling is bringing down information from the records or Akashic records of the world, right? Bringing it down, sort of like opening up a book and grabbing a little word out of it, right? but connecting and channeling, connecting to like other beings, even
Mhm.
like beings that have passed, beings that are not from this world, or beings that are energies that are out there. Yes, I have connected with them. It has taken me, it's a process that you go through. It's not like, you have to really be careful when you're connecting with other beings, because there's good energies and there's not so good energies, right? So you always have to be careful. But I have connected with them and have learned and received codes from them specifically, to what I needed it at this point for myself, for my growth, and for my development as a, as a human being that I needed. As I'm opening up more consciousness, my perspective, rewiring myself in the as a cellular level. You feel different, you see yourself different, your body changes, right?
Mm.
So it's kind of like you're readjusting into these codes. There's codes everywhere. And what codes mean, right? Because people are going to be like, what is a code? Is it like a it's energetic geometry, right? That, water has it, right? You have the water is like a geometry. So when you drink water, you're taking the codes from the water, has been here for since the world was created. So you're receiving all those codes from the ancestors, right? The animals, the plants, the minerals, the rocks, all of it. So all of that is in our body. So when we remember, if out of the blue we remember that we were in the 1800s, right? It might have been you, or have been a memory that you would either drank through the water or ate through the food that you ate, or through the air, the particles of the air, right? So all of those things. So you have to, when it comes to connecting and channeling, and there's not only one way to see it, you have to look at it as a whole of, it can be this, it can be this, it can be this, and just together could be something. But how are you receiving it, and how is it helping you? That is the focus, not what it is, right? Because somebody could tell me, yeah, Carla, you were you were this back in your life, past lives, and things like, which I have gotten that. But again, what do I receive the message from that specifically? And what was the message, what I'm learning from it, and what do I need to implement, take action, and change for myself in this lifetime?
Okay. How did you develop that pathway of just channeling, or,
So,
from a young age, or just after adulthood, or,
so interesting enough, so when I was, apparently when I was little, I don't remember my childhood very much unless I see pictures and comes memories. But my sisters do tell me that I was very connected intuitively. I did talk to, until I was, kind of 9 years old, I talked to beings and things like that. I always had conversations. You see kids sometimes talking to themselves, right? They're their invisible friends. No, they're actually their guides, or they're, most of the time is their guides talking to them, right? But then, because of culture, because of, I guess, not knowing about this, they thought I had like a disease, and I had seizures. So they medicated me for years. And I lost that connection completely until I actually, after having kids, I went into deep depression, and I just needed to find myself again, right? But I still felt things, but I wanted to avoid it because it was scary, right? Because it's like if you feel somebody touching you, and then you're like, oh, who was it, or what was it, right? And you have fear, right? When the things of the unknown, there's fear when you're human, right? So, but then I came out of it, and in 2020 was my awakening. And my great teacher that was a speaker here as well, Kira Audring, and she was my teacher, and just I went from 0 to 1,000 connection. So it was my time, right? And the idea here is I want to remind everyone is not to rush the process, right? And I'm telling you, because I tried to rush the process, even because I felt like I had so many years that I had to rush the process, and I didn't, but I went really fast. Don't rush the process. Really enjoy the awakening. It's sometimes it could be painful, sometimes it could be amazing. Just enjoy the process of awakening and feeling into your gifts and starting to sense things. So it takes a lot of practice, dedication, a good guide. There's so many out there that are, they say they help you, they don't. So find a good guide, a good teacher that will help you make that connection. And I opened my gifts. I started hearing, seeing, feeling, as I went through and opened and sort of like opened up. I started learning more about dimensions and about different cultures, like the Hinduism, and read books and sort of like truly put myself in it completely, and then started practicing it, right? I did mediumship to practice, and I said, no, thank you. Then I started reading souls and connecting to souls, sort of like healing. I did a lot of healing, energy healing and stuff. So I did a lot of things that I opened up, but I needed to practice, right? Those things don't come, they come naturally, but you have to be careful and you have to practice to be able to understand what you're connecting to. And for that, you need a teacher. So that's how it happened for me.
A teacher as in not a spiritual guide, an actual teacher, or
Yeah, a spiritual guide, a spiritual teacher that has lived through, that knows, that feels, that sees, that is really immersed in this, in a way that it helps you open up your heart, because your heart has to open up first, right? You have to heal. And as you heal, you start exploring on your gifts. You start exploring on what can I see? I remember the first thing that I started that came from me, because I already felt, I was just scared about it, was the hearing. I could hear voices, and that freaked me out. It completely freaked me out. And so I could hear voices. And once I started hearing voices, I started recognizing different voices. I thought it was my mind, right? And that's another thing. You hear voices inside your head all the time. When you're learning to open up your gifts, when you're learning to open up and get to know yourself, you get to hear different voices, because the voice in your head is in your head. But the voice, when you hear voices, is in the back or is in your chest. I can hear my soul, right? Like my soul talks to me. And so I can hear it from my chest. Like I hear it here. And you're like, how can you hear here, right? But you do. And so all comes with understanding, what is the voice saying? Where is it saying? How is it saying it? And you start recognizing with practice, and differentiating between one and the other to know who's talking what, right? Who's who.
So is it as simple as just sitting quietly and asking for a connection? Is it just that simple, or?
I mean, it's that simple over time.
Okay.
Right? So let's say if you are a meditator, let's say you love meditating, right? And when you can hear your chatter in your head, you can hear okay, Mark, you're blah, 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 this and that. You forgot to turn the oven off, or did I put the light this? Or, oh, I have to do this errand, right? So that's your mind chattering. But when you start there, I really want you to, and this is for everybody that would like to practice, I really want you to start hearing the tone, how loud it is, what does it say? So based on that, you're going to remember, okay, that is my mind. So when you are connecting, right, to say, I'm open to listen to other beings, or I'm open to listen to my soul. So I would say first, learn the chatter of your mind. Second, learn to hear your soul, because it sounds softer and it comes from the center here, right?
Mhm.
And then you'll be able to open up a little bit more into hearing other voices and tones. I have had beings that talk to me in a different language, I guess. So then I opened up my my a different type of language for me as well, might call it native soul language as well, right? So it's really taking the time to sit down, identify the tone, like I said, how loud it is, what does it say, and how does it say it first. Once you identify that, you move into, okay, now I'm going to hear my soul. And you're going to concentrate, and you're going to take a deep breath, and you're going to imagine yourself that you're opening up like a book. And as you open up, make sure you have an intention, of course. As you open up, you're going to ask your soul to come forward, your spirit to come forward, right? Because there's a difference between the soul and the spirit. So ask your spirit to come forward. The spirit is the knowledgeable, the infinite consciousness, okay? So when it comes, it's the way it talks, you can tell that it's soft-spoken, it's knowledgeable on things, is direct, right? For me, right? This is for me. You have to find how your infinite consciousness talks to you. So as you open up and you're in this mode and you open up like a book, you open up with light and love, you ask for your spirit to move forward and talk to you, and you hear nothing. That's okay. Don't get frustrated. You go back the next day and you try again, and you hear nothing. You don't get frustrated. You back again the next day and the next day, until one day, we don't know. It could be the second day, it could be the first, it could be the 10th. You never know. You will hear the difference. You will hear a new voice. Just don't freak out. Just trust that voice. And once you hear that voice, try it again and practice, and then you can ask questions, right? So I would say start there. Before you even go into thinking about exploring outside of yourself.
Right. That was one of my questions was, okay, you said there's a soul and there's spirit. Is there a universal intelligence? Because we see that written a lot, and just universal intelligence. And that's maybe collectively how we receive information. Do you
Yes.
do you sense that? Are you familiar with that?
So our infinite consciousness, which is our spirit, is connected to the universe, right?
Right.
Now, when you talk about the universe itself, right? And I am just going to connect with it because I want to extend a little bit more. And what I'm getting from the look of the universe, right? The infinite universe is the knowledge that your spirit has traveled throughout the universe, right? Because let's say your soul, Mark, your spirit, not your soul, your spirit has had many lifetimes, not only on Earth, but in the universe, in other worlds, as an element, as a whatever that is, right? Floating through the universe. You can gather that information through your infinite consciousness, right?
Okay.
Now, we are connected to a matrix, the matrix of the universe, the matrix of the world, and we're all interconnected within. because why? We are the same cell.
Right.
Because we eat and drink the same cells, all of us, throughout the evolution of the earth. We have. So everything, all of that information within this world is stored in our cells. This is in the body, physical, three-dimensional. And then when you connect to the infinite consciousness of your spirit is the actual connection to the universe. Of if I'm connected one time of, okay, where was I, in one of my lifetimes as a spirit, right? I have lived in a different world, or I got abducted. I mean, all of those things came as information to me, right? Through me, through my infinite consciousness. Connecting to that, it takes time. I have been in this 4 years going deeply in it. You can't just go, the first connection that you could go is into the Akashic records, which is like the connection of the spirits and the world, the spirits around, right? The Akashic records of what is happening, when it happened, and things like that. Beyond that, there's more, right? I've connected to the Galactic Federation, if people talk about that as well. I try not to, because there's fights with them too, right? Like between them worlds as well. So there's so much going on. That's why I always bring it back to self. And it's interesting enough because my evolution in terms of awakening went from all about spirit first. So I was connecting for months and years, connecting. And then it became all about the body. So all about being here in the world. So I was connecting with Mother Earth and how I can become part of that. And now it's kind of like, and then I went all about the universe, right? All of the galactic stuff and all of those things. And now it's kind of like, it's all merging together of all the information I have gathered throughout and kind of merging together into one. Because we are one within ourselves. We are one. So as I become one, you become one, and the other person becomes one, we're collecting the same, becoming more conscious together, and changing the perspective of how we connect with each other in the civilization and create better opportunities for ourselves within the civilization that we're living in. It always goes back to connecting to civilization and what. So everything that happens within happens out.
Right. And as you were speaking, it just struck me that so many creative people that present things make us or force us to think differently about the world around us, to think differently about the spirit, about the soul, universal information. And I know we've had conversations about where do our ideas come from? Are we just like radio receivers, or we receive our information from some broadcast out in the universe, or is it part of our DNA? What is it? Nurture versus nature type thing. So all those things, it's so complicated, and it's just nice to speak to somebody like you that sort of has already sorted some of this out for us, so we don't have to start all at kindergarten to work our way up, I guess. And as you said, yours was a developmental process, right?
Yes.
Have you achieved the end of your process, or you're still working?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I have broken a lot of patterns of my lifetime. Those are the things. Each one of us, when we sign a contract and we decide to come to Earth and become a three-dimensional being, right? We come in to experience life as is. And so when you're coming down to spiritual life as is, it's not like the spirit has a purpose. Like, you know, we create our purpose. Our mind creates our purpose, right? Because we, as human beings, with our mind that protects us, we need to feel seen, we need to feel heard, we need to feel that we belong. And the idea here is, for me, I'm accomplishing as I go the patterns and the cycles that I'm breaking that are generational, myself, from other lifetimes that I have brought here. And that is the part that we have to focus on ourselves first. As we break the cycles on ourselves, then you're more conscious to be able to share it with others and say, you know, focus on you, on breaking those patterns and breaking those cycles. And then once you do that, there's no end. There's no ascension of the line. I'm going to the, you know, and that's funny because I've seen a lot in the interwebs, in the internet, that's like, oh, you have to be, the goal is to go to the light and become a light. But doesn't happen. Okay, let's cut this right now, throw it in the trash. That does not happen. The idea here is to experience life as much as possible, the good, the bad, the ugly, the best, all of it. To feel, to hurt, to laugh, to play, to all of those things, to the max. And as you do that, breaking patterns, breaking cycles, breaking ancestral connections and cords and all the things that come with it, you start creating a new lifetime when you come back that is going to be completely different, in a completely different world, right?
Right.
We have 800 lifetimes for our spirit to go around before it goes to the light.
That's all?
That's all, 800 lifetimes. So how are we, you know, am I accomplishing the things that my human things, my goals and stuff? Sometimes, no, I'm not accomplishing, and it's frustrating, right? But am I learning through the process and understanding and learning what are those challenges that are coming through, right? If you're in a darkness place right now, instead of saying, why me? Why it's happening to me? Let's shift that and change and ask yourself, what do I need to learn from this? And you sit with it. What do I need to learn from this? What do I need to learn? I know it's a learning experience. This is a learning experience. We're coming to Earth. What do I need to learn? And once you find that thing that you need to learn it, integrate it, and shift it, and move on and let it go. Right? And I know it's easier than said than done because I'm still going through that process. Because guess what? If I let go one thing, another one appears, and another one appears, and it keeps on going, right? And not only that, like, I am raising children, so they are my teachers, right? And if they become my teachers, they bring more things for me to keep on looking, keep on healing, keep on breaking, keep on cycling, and experiencing in life. And when I heard my spirit said, when I was, I just told I was talking with my spirit, and I said, I just want to connect and stay in the universe because it's so much, it's peaceful, it's safe, right? It feels safe to just meditate and stay there. I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal. And my spirit responded, then what's the point of being here? I want to feel life. I want you to feel life. I want you to laugh as hard as you can. I want you to hurt as hard as you can. I want you to view and change and disrupt and say the things you're not supposed to say on the internet, right? That people don't agree with, right? I want you to be I want to be me. That's what my spirit told me. And so I was like, oh, man. How am I going to do that, right? It's a process. It's a process. Day by day, you know, the best thing, and I think I said this before, and the best thing about who we are as humans is that we are, every night we go to sleep, and we sort of die, right? Because we go somewhere else.
Right.
And then every morning we wake up and it's a new day. And what are we doing with that new day? And every day I'm like, it's a beautiful day. I am just happy to be alive. And I'm just going to, whatever it comes, I'm just going to enjoy it. Whether it's good, whether it's bad. If I'm going to cry, I'm going to enjoy it. Right? If I'm going to laugh, I'm going to enjoy it. Why? Because it's life. And the more you open your perspective, the more you open your consciousness, you understand and you start being more aware of the lessons that you're learning as you go, instead of the hurdles that you're getting, right? It's a shift in mindset.
So the more, and just trying to think of a good question here, the more you integrate these things, well, as you say, you take an experience, you sort of bring it in, think about it, analyze it, whatever, and then just let it go, right? Don't dwell on it. Don't carry it with you forever. Okay.
There are some things in your life that are going to stay at the last minute of your life. You have, scientists say that there's 7 minutes of, as you are dying, your body is shutting down. There's 7 minutes where your brain is actually still, right, functioning. And so those 7 minutes are memories, right? And so there are going to be some memories that you will have in those last 7 minutes. You just have to choose which ones, right? And if you really enjoy them, you can say, you know what, I laughed, I hurt, I enjoyed, I lived, I discovered all of the things on those 7 minutes. What is it, right? Fill them up. Because those things you're taking over into your next lifetime.
Okay, so all right. So the lifetimes are a continuum.
They're not continuous. There's a process once you leave. There is a process of integration for the spirit, the soul. The soul carries all the memories through. And then there is sort of like that happens in the 4th dimension. And so on the 4th dimension, sort of like you keep on doing the work, right? Until it's your time. And interesting enough, because you're still doing the work, whoever stayed here, you're still connected to them. And so whatever they're healing, you're healing. So whatever I'm healing, all of my grandparents, great grandparents, whatever, they're healing, right? And it's all interconnected.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel like
no, I mean that was just a lot to take in.
I know. I know.
I didn't really conceive of all that being interconnected that tightly, but okay.
Yeah, that's it.
It's nice to have that reassurance, right? So,
Yes, absolutely. As you heal, but again, the focus is on you, on yourself, on self.
and when are you going to start teaching and training?
So I used to when I started this journey, I started teaching a little bit about it. But then I sort of like stopped because I needed to work on myself a little bit more. And so I kind of stopped, but I think it's time to come back and start teaching a little bit more. I don't know, maybe do a podcast or something. I don't know yet. Right now I'm just I continue the work within myself on a daily basis in my connections. So that's where my focus is on right now, and kind of sharing, sort of like trying to help people awakening, right? Awakening in the industry that I am in, which is meetings and events, and awakening people, if possible, awakening people here in this beautiful, in encounters in New York. So that's what my goal is right now. But I do have some courses and stuff that I did before that I'm happy to share and open them up again and maybe, open something up. But right now that's not in the plans. I see Ernie is asking what is the difference between soul and spirit. I think he put it on a message.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me explain the difference between soul and spirit. The soul, so like I said, the spirit is the infinite consciousness, is the knowledgeable of all of who you are and where to connect and things like that. And the actual soul is sort of like the carrier of the spirit, where stores all of the memories of your lifetimes, right? So that's the storer of like the memories and the things that you do and how you feel and all of those things, soul of as a carrier. So if you think about it, it's kind of like there's a car, and then inside the car is inside the car is your spirit, and so it kind of drives it through. The soul drives the spirit through the lifetimes when it's time. So I hope that I made it a little bit more understandable.
We have a question here. Is it faster to evolutionize with the help of other energies, or can we revolutionize with our inner self not needing to connect with other energies?
Okay. So when you talk about other energies, do you mean energies, galactic energies? Do you mean celestial energies? Do you mean ethereal energies? What type of energies are you looking? Because that's a different. Now, I would say all, right? In terms of evolution, before you evolution with any energies outside, you need to learn your own energy of your body, because on a daily basis, your energy moves in a specific way, and it vibrates in a specific way, and it sounds in a specific way. So when you learn all of these things, then once you learn how it moves through your body, how do you move it through your body in this particular instances, then when you want to move to open more or open your consciousness a little bit more, then you can open up into other energies like minerals, crystals. There's so many energies, right? Like galactic, like I said, ethereal, souls, Pachamama. So there's so many. It's just a matter, like I always say, stop thinking of the outside. Let's start in the inside. Let's start within yourself. Learn first, how does your energy move? How does your energy, where does it come from? Where is you're generating more energy from, right? That I think is more important than, and also, why do we want to evolutionize fast? Evolution is a process, right? If you look at Mother Nature, when Mother Nature evolves, unless she just wraps everybody down, right, with any climates or things, it goes slowly. It goes by seasons. It takes time. You can't rush the process of evolution. And because we rush the process of evolution, that's why we have the food that we have, right? Monsanto and all those things. We can't rush the process of evolution. We really have to focus on how we're generating our energy, how we're managing our energy within ourselves, and then how are we connecting with the other energies outside of ourselves.
You said you have children. So when your children were very young, did you notice any spirit memory that they had? We've heard that with young children, that they remember past lives, so they remember the spirits that they're connected to.
No, I did not. Both of my kids have like also gifts that I've noticed. They haven't developed it yet. My oldest one, she has done Reiki, started to do Reiki classes and stuff like that. So starting to open up and kind of, sort of through her art do that. But no, I did not. I was not really awakened 100%. Like I was not really awakened when I had when I started when I had my kids. So that didn't happen until they were a little bit older, when I started noticing all the other things that they were saying.
No, I know it's interesting because you just hear stories about, actually, their names for these gifted children that come, and they already know more than many of us know,
Oh,
about
absolutely. And their consciousness, it's interesting that their consciousness is more it's more open, right? There's less subconscious mind. And so their perspective is different, because it's interesting. They come to this world, and they come into the world like, wait, we were supposed to come here when it was a little bit less like this. What's happening, right?
Right.
Because we had taken a little bit time to sort of awaken to the process. So they come awakened. And when they come awakened, they see the world in a different way, right? It's not that they're better, right? They just see the world in a different way. They see that, I always tell them, my kids, like, you're my teachers, just because, yes, I do have I have experience in the life that I have lived. And also I'm open to see your perspective of what's coming, through you. So, that is what is happening now in the world. Technology has helped us and not also helped us, but it's how do you use everything as a tool? That's not what I believe in.
Right. Well, and just the fact you bring up technology, because now the big question is, technology in the next 20 years is going to replace human beings, and they may just we may become just extinct. The technology will take over, and the human beings are going to become extinct, which is not too far-fetched, I think.
Well, I think that I don't believe that it is going to happen. I see a world where right now a lot of people are awakening, right? A lot of people are questioning the status quo. A lot of people are questioning themselves of who they are and who they want to be, right? Or who they want to become. And so the need for connection, the need for belonging, the need to be heard is still going to be there. And the technology is going to help us to sort of get closer. Though the whole connection between communities, they're already shifting. There's a lot of, communities that are shifting from doing their own, going back to the basics, right? Creating their own agriculture. They say start at home and, put seeds down and start getting your own food somehow, right? So you don't depend on, then create, what is your culture, who you're relating to, how are you communicating, who are your friends and things like that, right? Your community. And then you're like, how are you sharing, like my neighbor gave me, she had like a plant of tomatoes, so she gave it to me. That's economics. We're doing a transaction, right? And she's giving me and sharing that part of the agriculture. And the political, how you're leading yourself within the community. It's already happening, the shift, because people are tired of the same, sort of thing that is happening in the world, of that we're depending on, right? Because right now, the world depends on, right? And so how can we shift that? And all that comes from within, right? Like, how can we stop depending and start depending on ourselves and give ourselves more accountability, more sovereignty, and bringing forward who we really are, and then share it with others in the world, in civilization.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully enough of us, let's see, it's hard to say awaken, because now the woke culture is no good. So awakening hopefully brings back a better future.
Yes.
Because well, it needs to, otherwise I think the societies and civilizations are in some trouble if it doesn't bring about some improvement, more humanity, I guess, is the spirituality and humanity. So.
Yeah, though it really depends on, see, because the woke thing also happens in spirituality, right? And I was immersed in this spiritual world, and everybody was saying this is how you're supposed to do it. This is how you're supposed to do it, and there's no one thing to do things, right? And so I think that when we start opening our perspective a little bit more and become more conscious, you start sort of looking at this, not only looking at one sector, right? And start looking at all as a whole. And I think if we start doing that within ourselves first, then that is going to start reflecting on the outside as well. And like channels like this one, like yours here, that is a huge thing, because it's you're talking about different perspectives at the same time, that people can just open up their perspectives and be like, okay, I'm getting this from this person, I'm getting this from this person. I will never say everything that I have said is all truth and nothing but the truth. Never. I even question it, right? When I rewatch it, right? And not question in a negative way, but questioning in like, does it feel true to me at this moment? If I resonate with one thing, that's awesome. If I don't, that's okay too. But it's grabbing the little things that you resonate for all the people around you and making your own sort of soup, right? In how you want to live your life and who you want to be with it. And that's the focus here. Going back to self, and once recognizing your inner civilization of yourself, and then coming on the outside and start implementing it with others.
Right. If you can raise the energy level of your own energy level, you automatically raise the energy level of those around you.
You do.
You do. Okay.
Laughter is contagious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Laughter is the highest vibration that you can ever find, that you will ever know, is the highest vibration. Because when you laugh, your entire body is in movement, right? And not only that, but you irradiate a huge vibration that is so contagious that other people do it the same thing. And the more you do it, the more other feels it, right? If you're looking at something on TV, let's say, and something is really funny through TV, and you still feel the vibration. And I always say, and I always do, when I'm not feeling, when I feel my energy is sort of shifting, or I'm going through dark times, I try to find ways to laugh, even start just laughing on my own, right? Just starting doing the sound and the movement of laughter creates that energy and creates that vibration. It's not about being in high vibration all the time, because that doesn't exist. That is, if someone says to you, I'm always in a high vibration state, it's full of BS, because that's not. For you to be able to sort of like be in sync with the universe, you have to have the shifts of the high and low vibration come through. Has to be a wave, like the universe. The waves of the universe, the vibration of the universe is not an up and down thing. It's a wave. So laughter brings you to high to level you into the wave of the universe. So make sure you laugh.
Okay. Tell me a joke. All right. No, it's all just, it's so interesting, and you present it so well that we want to, after this call, we want to go and sit and raise our energy level and
and just laugh
and start participating in
the wavelengths of the universe.
In the wavelengths of the universe. That's great. So I think I'm running out of directions here.
You're right. If anybody has a question here or in, I know they're watching us on Facebook. If there's somebody watching, happy to answer any questions. But the idea here is sort of like bringing it back into, you have to think about how you're becoming your higher self, the best version of yourself, and how you show up within yourself first. You know, how do you talk to yourself? How do you think about yourself? How do you see yourself? How do you hear yourself? All those things first. And then how do you hear within your new civilization, how you talk to your inner civilization, right? And as you really put yourself in the best version of who you can be, then, start bringing it outwards to others. And it's not like you're going to go into hibernation first and then you're going to come out after years, right? But little by little, take small steps into making that shift within yourself, right? And it's not one thing solves everything, right? Not that your energies are going to go down or you have to focus on the patterns. It's every day, just go one by one, choose one thing and see what comes up, right? And then go from there. And then really understand your inner civilization first. Like I said, how does your agriculture function, right? Like your organs, how does your culture, what do you think about yourself? How do you talk to yourself? How does your communication? How do it runs through your veins? The economy is your blood. How do you taking care of your body? Political, how are you leading yourself in situations, within yourself, decisions that you make, right? Do you trust yourself, right? All of those things, how confident are about yourself. And then spirituality is like how connected, do you take time to connect and understand who you are? So those are the basic things of the inner civilization that expands within the big civilization as well. So, and that is bringing out the best version of who you can be, and that takes time and that takes work. And so just enjoy life as it comes and just enjoy the ride of being a human, three-dimensional being.
Very good. We have just a few people here. Does anybody have any questions still? I thought we were going to get a few questions. Now it's so much to think about, and we sort of knew this going in, but you've highlighted so many items for us that it's really been constructive, and it's given us a lot to think about. And I know for myself, it's always sort of more an outside worldview than looking inward. And I guess, as you said, you got to start slow and just develop that daily sort of practice of looking inward to find out who you are, what you are, and what you would like to be and what the people around you would like to be. So I think that was a great presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to be in, and Ernie, as of course, in your channel, and Mark, for you to be talking with me here. I appreciate the time. And again, if you guys, anybody would like to contact me for more details, or would like to work one-on-one with me, I am available for that. So, that's, I'm ready to support, as I go through a different level of a deeper connection within myself, to support others that are awakening, that are wanting to expand themselves into learning about their gifts, their civilization, themselves and energies and all that stuff. So.
Right. And I think personally, you need to, as I said, you need to be writing and lecturing and supporting people. It's been excellent presentation.
Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate it.
So thank you. And everybody else, you join us next Tuesday for a conversation with Diane Morrison. So thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.